And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, coming up this Thursday, it is our big end of the year, drop of the year competition where we're going to go through every drop we collected in 2025 and name a champion. And that champion could come from so many different places, including our news makers, including our news reporters. Hey, maybe it'll be the vice mayor of Cudahy.
No, I don't know enough.
Nope, not that one.
I want to know where all the cholos are at.
Although average California voter is also in the running.
Well, it would be a crime if she didn't make it.
And Ricardo Lara, he's going to get nominated multiple times because this one is also from this year.
And I may be criticized and dragged through the mud for it and get my wig snatched, as the gay guys say.
Boy, he's been around for a long time, and it wasn't until this year that a star was born.
I'm very kind of sketchy.
Is that from this year, too?
That one's from last year.
Okay. How did he do last year?
I think he did pretty well. But I can't actually remember who won. No, who did win last year?
I don't remember.
Because this was the year before.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
Or maybe, no, wait. That was it. That was 2024. That was January of 2024 because that's when you were on jury duty.
That's right. Yes. For an entire month.
So we were pre-taping the shows at night and we did that one. Okay. That was 2024's winner.
And the first one was If the Cashier is Dummy.
That's correct. The first time we did this, the big winner was this drop.
If the Cashier is Dummy.
It was running neck and neck with...
I know.
Perennial classics.
And then the year after that, Shangy won in a tie. Shangy won between this one...
The bureaucracy is real.
And...
That's right. I like that. That was amazing.
It was really an embarrassment of riches with her that year.
So who's going to win 2025? You, the listener, will decide until we get bored of doing it.
All right. So there is a nightmare situation going on right now for LADWP customers who are trying to get the correct bill sent to them. The problem is that's easier said than done for that organization.
LADWP has had tons and tons and tons of billing errors over the years. This one might take the cake, what's being described as a billing nightmare for one customer, one ratepayer. Here is Fox 11.
Story you'll see only on Fox 11 and LADWP billing nightmare. One man hit. Look at the bill right there. This is a nightmare. This is a shocking water and power charge after years of billing issues. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez joining us live with a look at the, I saw that right, $13,000 bill.
$13,000?
That's a lot of Christmas lights and Disney decorations.
For a Van Nuys LADWP customer.
Yeah, for one house, it actually even went further up to $17,000. And, you know, it's interesting because we hear a lot of stories from people coming in and out of LADWP with horror stories about billing. But this one is particularly large when it comes to numbers. But I think we were able to get a little help for him. Take a look at the story, though.
So your payment of $13,063.45.
A March 2025 water and power disconnection notice sent to the Van Nuys home Will Ventris moved into back in 2020. That's when he insists he notified the agency of his new address repeatedly.
I was not.
Yeah, but that was COVID and they didn't know what they were doing.
This is not the first time this has happened. Didn't they spend a ton of money on a new system that didn't work? And they were sending the wrong bills to people right and left. And that what would happen is they would underbill you for a long period of time. And then they would figure it out. And then you'd get a bill for $10,000.
Every governmental agency, whether it's a utility, whether it's the DMV, doesn't matter, the schools, we are in the tech capital of the world. We have the best tech companies with the best platforms and programs. And do we go to then develop a new billing system? No. We start from scratch with some crooked contractor, and then everyone can't get their bills properly on time.
LAUSD did that too, where they would send you the wrong paycheck. So let's say you're the janitor, you might get the paycheck from the assistant superintendent. The assistant superintendent accidentally gets the paycheck of the art teacher. The art teacher gets the paycheck for the crossing guard, and so on and so forth.
I was not getting bills. And this was all before the COVID moratorium began in March 2020. Once that began, then I started getting on hold, and they're like, oh, it's going to be 45 minutes on hold, but we're not going to shut off anyone's power. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, well, I've tried. I've asked them so many times to send the bill.
5 years later.
That's on them.
This is what they do, though, and it's a monopoly, so you can't go to someone else.
I've tried. I've asked them so many times to send the bill.
5 years later, that $13,000 plus bill. So he gets to writing emails, he's making phone calls until he...
Really like the stock footage of him angrily typing on the keyboard. That's a mad typer.
Oh, yeah. An angry email.
So he gets to writing emails, he's making phone calls until he finally reaches a supervisor at LADWP.
I'm going to guess he did not talk to Janice Quinones and her $750,000 salary.
I don't even think I would bother going through the proper chain of command there because that's a losing battle. I would go straight to my council person.
And he says, you know what?
Well, he's in Van Nuys.
Oh, say no more.
His council person is my council person.
Broken windy theory.
Imelda Padilla.
The neighborhood kids, the down-ass kids don't like it.
I think that was last year.
And he says, you know what? I think, and quote, 50-50, our fault, your fault, for us not sending you the bills, for us ignoring your many attempts to get the bills sent to the correct address.
Think about how bad a bureaucracy is when for 5 years, all this guy has been trying to do is give them his money.
And they said that the blame is split 50-50.
For us not...
Yeah, what exactly was his fault here? Well, moving into the city of Los Angeles.
For us not following...
Could have been in Burbank. You don't hear a lot of stories about the BWP.
For us not following the standard protocol, which is sending the delinquency and the shutoff notice to the service address, regardless of the billing address. He says 50-50, our fault, your fault. So let me take off $2,500.
Paperwork.
Well, that's a negotiation.
Okay, if they have the ability to negotiate it, why don't you do this guy a solid? If he was trying to pay it the whole time and you wouldn't send him the bill, why not just waive the whole thing?
Well, they're a monopoly. They don't care about bad press, and Janice Quinones needs to pay for more private security.
$2,500.
Paperwork shows that reduction as well as Will's $3,000 payment, with the remainder going on a payment plan. But then he gets a new bill with more new charges.
What?
You knew this would happen.
With more.
This is after he already made a deal with them.
With more.
And then you get someone else on the phone. You don't deal with the same person. It's whoever answers the phone from Rez.
With more new charges.
They said, well, since 2022, for the past 3 years, we've not been reading your water meter.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
Notice how every single one of these things is something they didn't do, yet he's the one that gets punished for it.
Well, the blame is split 50-50, Randy.
So these are some estimated charges.
How much?
Around $5,000.
So we're back to how much now?
Then it was up to like $7,000.
What was that?
I don't know.
So we're back to how much now?
This poor guy, you can literally hear his ulcer.
Wouldn't you have one if you had to go through all that?
So we're back to how much now?
This poor guy.
Then it was up to like $17,000 in total.
No, it doesn't surprise me at all, unfortunately. That
Wow.
I get calls and emails on a regular basis from people who have generally similar situations.
Timothy Blood was one of the attorneys representing LADWP customers in 2017. The agency then agreed to a multi-million-dollar settlement paying customers claiming they were overcharged during the rollout of a new billing system.
There you go.
If it's not broken, why fix it? They had a billing system that was working, they changed it, and now we can't bill people accurately.
There's no reason that they should be having so many customer service problems over so many years. The ratepayers are not their enemy. The ratepayers are their customers.
They don't see it that way.
They see every customer as a nail, and they see themselves as a hammer.
And they really need to treat them as such.
Now, late tonight, I did hear from LADWP. We've been going back and forth, and you know what? I just got a statement from them saying that they are, after looking at this very unique case, they are going to waive the majority of the disputed balance on his unpaid water and power bill.
And that's why you get the local news involved, because the only way that government does the right thing is when they get shamed into doing it by the TV.
Had he not gone to the news, he would still be owing that money, and then they'd be finding new charges to add on to it.
I'm waiting to see what amount that is, but it does seem that they're understanding that something really unique happened here.
I don't think it's that unique.
No.
And we'll be able to help him out. So we'll see what happens. But it's a problem for a lot of people. We're going to put their entire statement on our website at foxlate.com and some of the links to some of the groups and some of the efforts to try to band people together so they can try to get some help. Live in Van Nuys, I'm Christina Gonzalez, and back to you in the studio.
Be careful, Christina. It's Van Nuys on a Friday.
She's gotten roughed up in the field before, hasn't she?
Yep.
And how much for the stress, the sleepless nights, the therapy, and dealing with all of that?
Well, you're going to have to lawyer up for that.
Oh, yes.
You know, I started working with him, a little while ago. I was vetting everything. I started reaching out to LADWP about a week ago. It took a little while to figure out it takes a while. These accounts is very confusing. Mm-hmm. But, finally yesterday.
And why is it confusing? Why is this so hard? They bill you for water and they bill you for power. This should not be complicated. If it is complicated, it's because we've created a hellish bureaucracy.
Nothing in LA is easy. Everything is a great big pain in the ass.
Finally, yesterday was the day when I said, look, we're going on air with this.
See, this is what happens. They were stonewalling her until she said, hey, I have a deadline. We're going on the air whether you fix this or not.
And to their credit, they jumped on it, and they just this afternoon said, no, we're gonna. It may come down to as much as $800-700, but I don't.
Why wouldn't you just waive the whole thing at this point?
It's your mistake. You see, that's the way it works. If you make the mistake, the other person gets something out of it because you didn't hold up your end of the bargain.
But I don't want to be quoted on that until I see it on paper.
Well, I can't imagine the shock seeing that bill. All right. Thank you so much.
There you go. That is the DWP billing debacle, where someone was trying to pay his bill. They wouldn't send him a bill. And then all of a sudden he owes $13,000. He settles that. And then they're like, oh, wait, we didn't read your meter. You owe us another $5,000.
Let's go to Wade in Encino. Wade, hello.
Yep. Hello?
Hi there.
Yep. The $12.50 bill became thousands of dollars more.
So you were undercharged, and then they caught their error, and then they charged you a fortune.
No, it should be. It's just a small water meter that goes to a small office, just with a half bath on it. So it's very low. So anyway, I started taking surveillance photos month after month. And then finally, we found out that...
I'm sorry, you're cutting out, and it's very difficult to follow the story, but thank you for the call. Let's go to David in Northridge. David, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. So I was saying there's actually two sides to the story. I hate the WP, don't get me wrong, but if you just pay them an amount, you don't wind up with a $10,000 bill. You know you're using electricity, pay them something, and then when they finally straighten it out, you will actually have a normal balance and be able to figure things out. But there are two sides of this to be responsible. That's my opinion.
Well,
we just pay a straight amount every month, and whether it's high or low, we have a credit or we have a debit.
I haven't been in this situation with DWP or with my electric company, but I have been in this situation with the county before. When I purchased my house in 2014, I purchased it from someone who sold it to me as an individual. And then after the escrow closed, he tried to amend the escrow and make it so that it wasn't sold to me by him as an individual. It was sold to me by his estate. Well, you can't do that. You have to fill out the paperwork correctly during escrow. And if after the whole thing closes, you want to go back and change it, the county is not going to acknowledge that. But because he turned in the paperwork to the county attached the paperwork to the escrow. And for whatever reason, him doing that tricked their computer system into thinking that he was still the owner of the property. So all of the tax bills for the property were being sent to the previous owner and not to me. And so I had never owned a home before, and I thought, it's odd that I'm not getting a bill for my property taxes. So I called and they said, yeah, we put them in the mail. Sometimes there's a delay and it takes a long time for them to get to you. So don't think anything of it. At some point it'll come. If you owe money or when you owe money, we will contact you. Don't worry about it. And I thought, okay, it'll come. And you just forget about it because you check the box. You gave them a call and you thought it was resolved. And at some point, whenever I owed the money, I would get a bill from them. And whenever you buy a new property, sometimes it doesn't start out in a normal sort of way. I mean, I think that when you close escrow, in some cases, the first month or the first couple of months, you don't have to pay your mortgage because that's part of the escrow. So I didn't know if there was a delay or he had already paid it for that year, whatever the case may be. So the next year, same thing happens. I don't get a bill in the mail. And I call them up and they say, oh, yeah, well, you didn't pay last year. And I said, yeah, because you never sent me a bill. And they said, oh, yeah, well, you're going to have to pay all of these fees and, all of these penalties. And that's how it works. And, and you missed the deadline for this year, too. So you're going to have to pay that as well. So I just paid it. And I thought, my God, it got lost in the mail 2 consecutive years. That's weird. And then the third year, it happened again. And when we finally figured out that they were sending it to a P.O. box that didn't belong to me, it took an act of Congress to get them to strike all of those fees and penalties and everything that I'd been paying. I was perfectly happy to pay what I owed, but I didn't want to pay all of that because it was their mistake. But I had to keep appealing all the way almost up to the elected to the point to where they finally said, okay, it was our mistake. We acknowledge that. We're going to waive the fees. It's impossible to get them to move on that.
Yeah, the county is a pain in the ass, and I wouldn't trust them with anything. I was honestly just referring to billing from DWP. You're using the service, you should pay something. If you just pay them, you will have credits, and it will resolve itself once it's straightened out. I'm just trying to make people's lives easier in that. As far as the tax issues, I assume your title company or a mortgage company should have included the property taxes in there and been aware and informed you themselves. Unless you paid straight out cash for the whole thing, then it's, only wholly on you. But the mortgage company should have been aware of that and addressing it because they pay that every year.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. 800-222-5222 is a telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, with the end of the show quickly approaching, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
If after 3 hours of this, you decide that you want more, You might need your head examined. But hey, we're here for you. We got lots of this crap. Search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can do a Google on the YouTube. You can get the free KABC app. You can get the free KSFO app. You can get the KMJ Now app. We're on that station Saturdays at 2. So many different ways to listen live to our radio stations and download all the podcasts where you're only going to hear here the extensive evolution of podcaster turned candidate once again for DA, Pamela Price.
F around and find out.
Let's go to Marianne. Marianne, hello.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good.
Good. I called and I heard you talking about DWP. We had a situation where the beginning of summer, a tenant moved out of one of our properties. And once they vacated, we went over there and then we went to DWP and said, we'd like the utilities transferred into our name. And they said, well, we can't do that until you pay your balance. And we said, well, we don't have a balance. We're the owners. The tenant moved out. And then they accused us of being the tenant still. And we said, no, we're not the tenant. They moved to, this is where they moved. Here's their grant deed. Gave them all the proof. And they said, he said, how much is owed on the balance of it? And they go, well, it's $32,000. And we said, what? And they said, yeah, that's the balance on the bill. And so then we looked, they refused to turn the utilities on. We ended up running the power from the next door neighbor to our house in order to get the house cleaned up and fixed, whatnot. And then after a couple months, we went back to DWP, but we didn't go to the Van Nuys office. We went to one office over in Granada Hills. And we went in and we got a different person. He wasn't on such a power trip. We explained everything to him. And he said, well, nobody's living in the house right now? We said, no. And he said, well, you go take a video of the entire inside of the house. And then come back here. And we did that. And he said, fine. And then he turned the utilities on in our name. But what we found out that during COVID, the city, either the city council or the mayor, I still can't get it straight who did it, but there was something passed where DWP can't turn off anybody's utilities. That's why when an escrow closes, they just do a meter reading. They don't. And escrow or the city council has not recalled it. They've not reversed it. So my question is, how much money is owed to the DWP today?
That's a very good question, and I don't know the answer to that. My guess is if they're inefficient at properly sending the bills out to customers, they're probably inefficient at dealing with people who tried to scam them.
Exactly, yeah. But then they take money from our general fund. The city council awards money to DWP. I'm not sure what it's based on, but they do give them money. So has DWP not told the city council they're owed all these millions of dollars probably? I mean,
one of the first things that they do when they try to cover up a hole in the budget is they try to find waste, fraud, and abuse. It would seem to me that if you're looking to find waste, fraud, and abuse, this would be a good place to start.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Randy, this next one is a follow-up to a story we did last week where ultra-processed foods, well, they now have a bullseye on them.
So we told you about the lawsuit from the city attorney of San Francisco, David Chu. Chu wants to get all the fat out of your food. Chu is suing the manufacturers of ultra-processed foods, but that actually came on the heels of something that was passed in the legislature earlier this year. And that was to develop a board for schools that will determine what are ultra-processed foods and ban them from school cafeterias because all your kids are fat.
I wonder if that includes the vending machines too. And if so, what are you going to put in there if you banned all the ultra-processed foods?
Well, and that's a really good question because it's one of those little hidden secrets about California schools. They get a lot of funding from those vending machine contracts.
Oh, yes.
But for more on schools looking to phase out ultra-processed foods, here is ABC 10 in San Diego.
Well, California is taking new steps to limit ultra-processed foods in school meals, but some say rules alone won't fix what kids are eating.
Because there are a certain class of kids, and by a certain class I mean all kids, don't like to eat real food.
No, they like the way the processed food tastes.
They like things that are chocolatey.
ABC 10 News reporter Olivia Gonzalez-Britt explains what else needs to change.
Cheetos and Doritos may be dropping their...
I mean, even breakfast. Are you talking about making them like healthy protein and eggs, or is it French toast, which is just somehow they found a way to put even more sugar into bread?
And it's essentially a syrup delivery system anyway.
Cheetos and Doritos may be dropping their artificial flavors and dyes, but they'll still be considered ultra-processed foods.
Wait, what about the spicy hot ones? Can you still get the flamin' hot?
What about the Cool Ranch Doritos? Are they going to ban them?
They'll still be considered ultra-processed foods. And as trends show that kids are consuming most of their calories from foods in this category, California schools are trying to change what goes into their lunch boxes. They're tasty.
I mean, you can not sell certain products at schools, but you're not going to stop the kids from bringing them in because that's what the parents are going to pack for the lunch because it's the only food they're going to eat is a go-go squeeze.
And yes, you can't tell the parents what they can or can't put in their kids' lunches. Maybe you can make suggestions, but that's it.
They're tasty, but we all know.
If the 5-year-old wants that wet disc of ham in a Lunchable, they're going to get it.
Hey, you're teaching them at a young age that charcuterie is good.
Is that what that is?
Kind of.
They're tasty, but we all know they're not good for you.
The foods in this category have links with obesity, inflammation, and then also disruption of the gut microbiome.
We're talking about sugary drinks, packaged snacks, processed meats, all of which are high in salt, sugar, fat, and preservatives.
That's all the yummy stuff.
So what are the kids supposed to eat? Avocado toast?
And data shows adults and kids get more than half their daily calories from the very top of this pyramid. Foods we don't actually need, but choose for convenience.
It's really hard to skip out on convenience-related foods.
Kids are still choosing the less healthy options, and the results are showing. Childhood obesity.
Kids will just not eat unless you give them what they want.
I have seen children go days without eating because they're picky eaters and they don't like what you're cooking. They don't like what you're serving. And those same kids who you assume just don't eat at all, you show a pizza to them and they like the toppings and they'll have 4 or 5 slices.
Kids are still choosing the less healthy options, and the results are showing. Childhood obesity has climbed to nearly 1 in 5 nationwide. The trend.
It's really a sad state of affairs, too, because at the rate that the kids are growing, we no longer have the Maury Povich show on the air to do their Fat Kids episodes.
And do we still have those drill sergeants around to whip them into shape?
No, you can't do that anymore. You got to accept their life choices.
The trend doctors are worried about, and something community members like Ellie Igo are trying to change. At Food Shed San Diego, the mission is simple: bring more local, fresh food into the community.
Less than 1% of what we grow is actually consumed here in San Diego County. We've subsidized an industrial cheap food industry that's put small farmers out of business and had an incredible toll on our community health.
I mean, it is interesting that of all the things that you can buy with food stamps, what seems to be bought the least is produce that's from California farmers.
Okay, if you force the kids to eat produce, fresh produce, and that's what you give them instead of all the stuff that they like, what's going to happen is they're going to throw it at one another, and they're going to throw it at the walls, and it's going to explode all over the place.
Food Shed sources from 60 small farms, distributes to underserved neighborhoods and schools, and pushes for bigger changes.
We really need to invest public resources in our local food supply chain so that economy...
We want to bail out.
Everyone wants a bailout.
Invest public resources in our local food supply chain so that economy of scale starts to tip, right? Fewer subsidies for big agricultural commodities and more for fruit and veggie growers in our communities.
Starting next month, a new California law will phase out certain ultra-processed foods from school meals.
We still have to define what those are, though.
Yeah, it's not easy to make a list.
But Ellie says policy alone isn't enough. Schools need the supply to match.
So we really have to move in lockstep with investments in farms so that
If you're going to try to replace a Z-bar with a carrot, you're going to have a whole bunch of wasted carrots.
No, what she's saying is wrong. If you want the kids to eat healthier, what you need the parents to cook healthier at home. Because kids are picky eaters. And if all they get is fast food and junk food at home, that's all they're going to want to eat at school too. If you feed them fresh, healthy food at home and they have an option of fresh, healthy food that they like at school, maybe they'll eat it. But you can't have them eat one way at home and a completely different way at school in a way that tastes a lot less good than what they get at home and expect them to consume the food. It's not going to happen.
So that our policies match up and our businesses and our communities can actually really have the resources to change behavior.
For ABC 10 News, I'm Olivia Gonzalez-Britt.
So there you go. That law goes into effect next year, and the advisory board will be created, and it will decide all of the different cookies and crackers and chips that can no longer be sold at schools. But just you watch, because the schools are going to say, if we don't have those contracts with Frito-Lay and Pepsi, we're going to be broke.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Bryce in San Jose writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Afternoon, gentlemen. If they are stopping ultra-processed foods, I guess that means that Beyond Meats and Impossible Meats are being sued as well. Those are foods created in a lab, and at least there are other snacks that start off as something real. And, it's interesting that he says that because, yes, those meats are technically vegan, but you want to talk about ultra-processed, those meats are way less healthy than actual meat.
Oh, it is. Just because something is vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. French fries are vegan.
I know plenty of vegans who are in terrible shape.
All right, we've got an update for you on just exactly how well Prop 36 is working.
In San Diego County, they are saying that it is showing successes and retail crime, especially at hardware stores, is going down. For more, here's NBC7 in San Diego.
It has been just about 1 year since the implementation of Prop 36. That's the one that targeted repeated retail theft crimes, among other things.
Well, San Diego police say their data shows it's working, especially in the downtown area. NBC7's Dana Williams joins us now live from Ace Hardware. Dana?
Yeah, we all know how frustrating it is to come to the store and have whatever item you're looking for be locked up.
You mean like if you go to Target?
How ghetto does it look that they have to lock up the socks?
The shampoo, too.
We have to wait. Employees have to be running around. But sadly, the co-owner of this Ace Hardware says it's just kind of become a reality. But he does say not all hope is lost. And in the last few months, he has actually seen some promising change.
Of course, the total is $34.11.
It's one of those places you go when you either need something really specific.
Masonry bits? Yeah, kind of. Those are going to have an aisle 19 for you.
Or you're not sure what you need.
After whatever.
Well, and the truth with every hardware store ever is no one goes to a hardware store once in a day. You go twice because you buy the thing and then you go and return the thing because you got the wrong thing.
And I can tell you this, whenever I try to buy something and it's locked up behind glass and I press the button and they're not there in 20 seconds, I move on and buy it on Amazon.
If for whatever reason it doesn't work out for you, just bring it on back with the receipt.
Ace is about being the helpful place.
And this one it is for all purpose with tile and stone.
And for the last 16 years here, co-owner Harry Schwartz has helped neighbors with their projects. But in the last few, he's had some of his own working to secure frequently stolen items.
We're all about service. And what kind of service are we really providing if the customer has to wait for someone to come unlock a product because we're afraid to have it stolen.
He said it used to be power tools, high-ticket items that could be resold, but lately it's become smaller things like batteries.
Well, if everything's free for the pickings, why wouldn't they steal those too?
We know that something's going to be stolen. Many things are going to be stolen. That's just part of the game now.
Each month, he says they lose $10,000 to $20,000 of merchandise.
That's why they have to put all the batteries out in the front of the store where all the employees are, because they don't trust you in the aisle.
No, they don't.
That's also probably, have you noticed this? And you think it maybe just be a convenience thing, but if you wonder why you can't buy AA batteries in a quantity at Home Depot less than like 50, it's because they need them to be in large packages that you can't shove into your pockets.
Each month, he says they lose $10,000 to $20,000 of merchandise to shoplifters. It would happen with such frequency, he said, that they wouldn't even tell police. But
yeah, that's why crime is down.
Think about this for a second. How often do we do blotter stories where they talk about the shopkeepers, talk about not reporting the thefts to the cops, not reporting the thefts to their insurance companies because they know the cops aren't going to do anything and they know that the insurance company will drop them if they call too many times?
in the last year since Prop 36 went into effect, he says he has seen a change.
What we've seen in our store is there has been a reduction in shoplifting.
When you're talking about crimes, usually you look at a 3-year period of time to really judge the effectiveness of a new law or a new policy. But here we are seeing the positive impacts already.
Well, because those people that steal all the time are actually serving time.
Yeah, everyone knew that it would get better if you passed 36. That was not a great big mystery.
According to the county district attorney Summer Steffen, San Diego police data for this year shows a 23% decrease in property crimes in the downtown area, like theft. Last year, at this time, there were 3,515 cases of that sort. And this year, there's been 2,708.
We take it personally when they're stealing from us. I mean, this is our store, it's our home, but we try.
And usually thefts at hardware stores, they're stealing things that they could use to commit other crimes. Like if they steal a sledgehammer from Home Depot or Ace, they're going to use that sledgehammer to break into the jewelry store.
We try not to. You know, it's just part of the deal, part of the day.
And just remember, Prop 36 also has to do with drug users and drug treatment. It was one of
but that's the part that Gavin doesn't want to fund.
Nope.
One of the most controversial items on the ballot in 2024. Those who were opposed had concerns over funding. We even spoke with the DA in the last few months since it was implemented, and she had similar concerns. So this is a two-sided coin. But for now, live from downtown, I'm Dana Williams, NBC7.
So we are seeing in certain counties reductions in retail theft and the shoplifting thanks to Prop 36. When it comes to the drug treatment aspect of it, well, there's no money for that.
Imagine how well Prop 36 would be working if instead of fighting it tooth and nail every step of the way as he's doing, Gavin Newsom embraced it. But of course, that's not going to happen. He did cut bait on it. He said he was going to campaign up and down the state against 36. And then the moment he found out it was going to pass by wide margins, you notice he decided to keep a much lower profile on it.
He moved on.